Good morning and welcome to our week 2 of breathing. Starting all over again from the beginning. Today we're going to do nasal versus mouth breathing. Why we breathe, how we breathe. Last week we kind of just focused on our breath. So today I'm going to get my books out and I'll kind of hopefully explain a bit more of how and why we breathe, the way we breathe. So, we talk about nasal breathing and mouth breathing. Now, both of them get air into your lungs, and when you're exercising or when you're out walking, we tend to sort of, and if you've got asthma or you use blocked nose, you'll tend to go in and out through your mouth. Now, what happens with the breathing, why it's different, is if you breathe in through the mouth, and you can try this, you can go with like that, and breathe the air in. You'll feel if you breathe in through the mouth that the air is really cold as it goes in. It's also really dry. And then anything that's in the air, any flies, any particles, any dust, any bacteria, they go straight down into your lungs. No filtration whatsoever. Little bit as it goes down through the thing, but not really much. Now through the nose, you've got little hairs all inside the nose. And what they do is they catch any bacteria, any pollen, any flies, anything that can go in. It catches it in the nose hairs. It also filters, so that's filtering what goes into the lungs. But it also warms the air as it goes into the lungs. So it's a better way of getting air in, because the whole time it's doing this, it's filtering. So I'm going to get my book out, my first book. And this one is The Science of Yoga. It's backwards, obviously, but that's what it's called, The Science of Yoga. So, we have our nose. I'm going to put my glasses on because it's my age and I'm getting old. So, my eyesight's rubbish, as well as my ears are absolutely terrible as well. So, we have our nasal passages. If it goes in through here, the mouth, it goes straight down through this and straight down into the lungs. There's no warming, and if you try that, if you open your mouth and go, you'll feel how cold that is compared to if you breathe up the nose. That is quite warming, and it's also moist, it's not dry. Now, if you breathe in the nose, it goes up here, it gets caught by all the hairs in the nasal cavity here. It goes right down here, down into the lungs, down into the trachea, into the lungs in this area here. If you were talking and eating at the same time, whenever you talk, air pushes up, it pushes past your vocal cords, which are around here at the top of your trachea, and that's what causes sound to move. Now, if you try to talk at the same time as eating, what's happening is as you eat, this little bit here, just there, I don't know whether you can see it, it's called the epiglottis. What it does is as you swallow, it flaps over and it covers the trachea and stops food going down. Now, if you talk, you're pushing air up, so you're pushing that flap backwards. And if you try to swallow at the same time, then sometimes a bit of food gets caught here, and your body's first reaction is to cough, to clear the airway. So, and you'll cough it all back up, and then it will drop down that side and go back into your stomach. But this is why you shouldn't eat and talk. But breathing pushes, as well as helping keeping you alive, it also helps you talk as well. So we use it for that as well. So like I said, it goes up here, it goes down the back of the throat, and it goes into here. It's keeping it warm, it's keeping it moist, and it's keeping it safe from infection, any antibodies, any bits of fluff or dust or anything going in there. So it's protecting as well. So once it gets into the lungs, here's my next book. Once it gets into the lungs, it's gone down here. It again splits off. Sorry, it splits off into these two areas here. And this one, is the Human Pop-Up book, which is great for kids. Absolutely brilliant book. Now, as you breathe out, this area, your diaphragm flattens and your lungs kind of go in. As you breathe in, they stretch out, the diaphragm flattens, and the air fills up. What people tend to do though is as they breathe in, they tend to only breathe into about this half section of the lungs. They don't get right the way down into the bottom of the lungs, right down here into the alveoli. Now the alveoli, the lower you go down, the more air sacs are down there. So it helps to try and breathe all the way right down into the end of the air sacs. Now, I'm going to say this, I'll get it right. There's right at the bottom, right inside these air sacs. So this is our air sac here. This is the alveoli inside there. So inside here, just on the outskirts around there, there is white blood cells, and they're called macrophages. And they are on the outer surface of each alveoli. And what they are is that they trap and destroy fine particles and bacteria before it gets into the bloodstream. Then the bloodstream, if you can see here, I don't know how well it is in there, you'll have blue and red. Now red means that the blood is oxygenated. So as you breathe in oxygen, it goes into here. It then passes into this bit. All these, so you've had your first defences already, your nose, that's trapped any pollen, any rubbish that's going into the body. And then your second line of defence is right at the bottom of the lungs, into the alveoli. And this stops anything, any rubbish, again, bacteria is passing into the blood. So as the blood comes in, it goes, oxygen goes into the blood, and then deoxygenated blood comes, carbon dioxide, comes back out into the lungs, and then we breathe it back out and get rid of all that rubbish. And this happens with every heartbeat. So every time your heart beats, it goes round like that. And that's what happens every time you're breathing. That blood, good oxygen is passed into the body, into the lung, and then it goes out into the body, and it gives your nutrients to your muscles, to your bones, to your brain, to every part of the body. And then it collects all the rubbish, brings it back towards the lungs, and then passes into the alveoli, passes up here, up through there, and you breathe it back out, or down your mouth, out through your nose. It doesn't really matter. Now, there are 3 lobes on your right side. I think I'm doing the right for yous. Yes, right side. And there'll be 2 lobes on your left side. And this is so that your heart sits in between. Now, with this, even though there is, like I said, 3 and 2, when we talk about doing breathing, take these off, sorry, otherwise I'm just a bit weird in the thing. Okay? When we talk about breathing, we talk about filling the lungs into three lobes. So we do the top, the middle, and the bottom. Even though I say there's 3 lobes, like I said, there's only 2 on one side, but it'll still feel that way. And we're going to try and fill all the lungs in the 3 lobes. They also go out and split off into little sections as well. So there's lots of little sections within the lungs. So we're going to try and get breath all the way right down to the bottom of our lungs and feel the difference in that. Let me see. Yeah, so it moves in 3 dimensions into the back, and mainly it's in the back of our body. So if we think about here, we've got our breath at the front. Our lungs start about here, and then you've got the rest of your back there. So we kind of have more of our lungs in our back, and you'll have heard an awful lot of that about breathing into your back on the news. And that's again because most of us, especially women, we breathe here. And we have our chest go up because we've watched it in movies that's what happens, but we'll be breathing into our back. So we're going to try and breathe all the way down to here, and we're going to try and do what we call a belly breath, so that we're pushing the diaphragm down and the belly out. We're then going to do intercostal, so trying to stretch and open all these ribs here so that they can open up, and then clavicle, which comes right up here where your clavicle is, and that's usually where the top of your lungs are. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to find a position that's nice and easy to sit in, bringing our shoulders back down, making sure we can move our head side to side, twist forwards, backwards, just to kind of release some of the muscles that work around the neck. You can give your shoulders a little circle as well, just again to release them muscles in the shoulders, because all of these come into helping. We can have a little stretch to the side so that we're opening the muscles that run between the the ribs, and also if we have a little twist to each side. So again, we're just opening up the lung muscles, the muscles that surround the lungs. Give ourselves a little shake. So we're going to place our hands sort of here, or you can hold them here, or you can give yourself a hug and hold them around there. You're going to breathe out, and then you're going to try and breathe into the belly area, then into the chest area, then just right up here to the clavicle. But what you don't want is your shoulders going up like this. They stay down. Then you're going to breathe out. So again, we're breathing, trying to get the breath right into our belly area or our chest. We're trying to breathe into the little bit at the top. We're trying to breathe into just up by the clavicle. And then we're going to breathe out. So we're going to do that for about 5 minutes. I'm going to drop that so that you can see my belly a bit more. We're going to do this for about 5 minutes. So I just want you to close your eyes, and I just want you to concentrate on feeling these areas come out. So not just here, I want you to feel it coming out through the sides. And also, if you're sitting against the chair, you may be able to feel it pushing into the back of the chair as well. Remember, majority of the air is in the back. It's just that we tend to feel it and see it a bit more here. But don't worry if that doesn't work. We'll work on that over the weeks. So let's breathe out. So we're going to lift our arms up, breathe in, stretch up, give yourself a nice stretch, and then breathe out through the mouth. Let's do another one. In through the nose, a nice stretch, and when you need to breathe out, through the nose. So have a bit of a go with those. Like I said, try, if you're not sure, breathe up your nose, breathe through your mouth. Notice the difference between how warm and moist, and it catches all the things that go through your nose as opposed to going through your mouth where it's dry, it's cold, and anything can fly in there and go into your lungs. Try not to talk and eat at the same time because you could choke. And try to fill the whole of the lungs. Know that this is your first line of defense against infections and bacteria entering your body, and then the second line of defense is right down in them alveoli. So try and breathe down as hard as you can. Do it nice and quietly. 5 to 10 minutes a day is about all you need to do just to focus on the breathing, and you'll really feel the benefits of it. So thank you all for joining me today, and good breathing. I'll see you later on. Remember, I'm always open if you want to join any of my classes. They're every day, different times of the day. Just give me a shout. And it's £10 for a month. And for that, you get 7 classes a week. And you can come to any of them. They're not all for everybody, but if you want to come along. Okay. Hiya, Tina. Chilas. Take care. Bye-bye.